Welcome to Module 4, Long-Term Wellness. As we know, breast cancer recovery doesn't end as soon as treatment ends. Therefore, it is important to utilize these tips and tricks that we have learned throughout each of these modules and implement them into your daily life as routines and healthy habits to support your emotional wellness over time. The key to adding these healthy habits into your daily routines and your daily life is to start slowly and stay consistent. In this final module, we will discuss these strategies for building and maintaining emotional well-being over time. Here are two key strategies to add healthy habits into your daily routine without it feeling too overwhelming. First, you want to start small. To add simple, healthy habits into your daily routine, start with small micro changes rather than trying to change your entire day. Doing this will build self-confidence, increase consistency, and avoid overwhelm when you're starting a new routine. For example, commit to walking 5 minutes each day and build up as this becomes more consistent in your daily routine. Another example is carrying around a water bottle to promote hydration. Another strategy is called habit stacking. Habit stacking involves anchoring a new habit to an already existing one. For example, taking 5 deep breaths each time you stop at a red light or listening to a 5-minute meditation while getting ready in the morning can be an easy way to implement these healthy habits without feeling too overwhelming or feeling like it's an addition into your already busy day. The 3-3-3 rule for building habits is a great way for you to track and understand the different phases of implementing a strategy into your daily life. The 3 days is the initial phase of beginning a habit. It is often the most difficult stage. It may feel unnatural with change and requires the most effort for you to perform and maintain that habit throughout the 3 days. The goal of this phase is to consistently perform that chosen habit for 3 days. 3 weeks is the routine building phase. This consists of 21 days of consistent practice. This phase requires continuous mental effort to maintain, but it slowly becomes second nature over time. The main goal of this phase is to stay consistent. Lastly, the 3 months phase, or the permanent lifestyle phase, involves sticking with the habit for a total of 90 days. By this point, the habit requires little willpower to stick to, and it becomes an automatic behavior. The goal of this phase is to solidify the behavior in your daily routine. It should feel unnatural if you do not perform that activity. It is important to note that this 3-3-3 rule for building habits is just a baseline. Depending on the complexity of the activity that you are trying to implement into your daily life, it may take longer for you to reach that permanent lifestyle phase. For example, getting active and going to the gym, as that is a more complex activity, it may take upwards of 120 days to become more consistent in your daily life. Simpler activities such as drinking more water and the deep breathing and meditations that we have talked about may follow a simpler schedule, such as the 3-3-3 rule. I also want to touch on your emotional well-being throughout the breast cancer journey. It's important to understand that your emotional needs will vary at each stage and where you should search for emotional support. At diagnosis, you may feel shock, uncertainty, or fear. At this period, gathering information, asking questions, and leaning on trusted support systems can help you feel more prepared and in control throughout this stage. In active treatment-related symptoms are going to increase, and you may struggle to work or fulfill family responsibilities. In this stage, social support, again, such as friends and family, as well as local support groups, can be especially helpful. After treatment, this stage can be particularly challenging as external support may lessen while you are still processing what you've experienced and experiencing difficult side effects from the treatment itself or after treatment medications. Continue to seek support in your local community through your friends and family and support groups, as well as engaging in meaningful activities to help ease this transition. Long-term treatment. In long-term treatment, such as long-term therapies, hormone therapy, that may continue for several years after active treatment ends. Maintaining these healthy routines, engaging in meaningful activities, and seeking support when needed can help promote long-term emotional well-being. Now we're going to talk about why creating these healthy habits and routines matter. Creating a routine helps reduce decision fatigue throughout your day, throughout your week, as well as creating a sense of stability and control, supporting physical and emotional health, as well as increasing follow through on your daily self care activities. Over the next month, I encourage you to choose at least one activity from each of these categories of health to commit to: physical health, emotional health, and social health. In physical health, some ideas for you to try out include walking, stretching, hydration, and committing to a healthy sleep routine. In emotional health, we have journaling, deep breathing, gratitude practice, or meditation. And for social health, we have calling a friend, attending a support group meeting, attending a family activity, or a community event. These are just a few things that you can do to help support these categories, and it is not an all-encompassing list. So I also encourage you to do some research and see what fits best into your schedule and what you think that you'll be able to commit to over the next 30 days. Fear of recurrence is one of the most common concerns among breast cancer survivors. You may experience thoughts such as, what if the cancer comes back? Feelings such as anxiety or worries with each twinge and feeling of pain. You may also experience anxiety or anxiousness before scans and appointments. There are strategies for managing this uncertainty. These include focusing on what you can control, such as attending doctor's appointments, taking medications as prescribed, practicing these healthy habits, and engaging in meaningful activities. You can also use those grounding techniques that we've spoken about, such as the five senses exercise, deep breathing, and mindfulness. Additionally, you can challenge these unhelpful thoughts when they arise. It's important to acknowledge them and see them from a non-judgmental space. When you challenge unhelpful thoughts, it is important to acknowledge that those feelings are valid. However, you can take that thought and turn it into an alternative thought that may help you feel more in control and understanding of the situation. For an example of a worry thought is, this pain means something is wrong. You can take that thought, understand that it is valid, and from what you've been through and experienced, it is understandable to be anxious when you feel that pain. However, you can pause and tell yourself that there may be many explanations for why you may be experiencing that pain, and you can discuss those concerns with your doctor. Additionally, another thought is feeling that I am constantly waiting for bad news. An alternative thought to that could be, today I am safe and I can focus on what matters right now. A practical tool that you can use for managing anxieties and fears of uncertainty is the circle of control. This is a tool that divides your world into two parts: things within your control, such as treatment decisions, diet, and self-care, and things outside of your control, such as your diagnosis, the medical system, and other people around you. By focusing on the things that you can control rather than the things that you can't, you can reduce feelings of stress, anxiety, prioritize your self-care, and increase empowerment and resiliency. I encourage you to pause and take some time to create your own circle of control. Now, I want you to take a moment and reflect on your journey throughout this program. Take a moment to think about what you have learned about yourself, the coping strategies that you found most helpful, and a meaningful activity that you would like to continue. Also, think about some things that you have accomplished since beginning this program. Have you learned new coping skills, improved self-care, asked for support when needed, re-engaged in a meaningful activity, practiced self-compassion, developed healthier habits, or improved your self-confidence? This page is dedicated for you to celebrate how far you've come since the beginning of your journey and the beginning of this program. Healing isn't linear and it isn't about perfection. Every small step towards emotional wellness is meaningful and important. The last few pages of this workbook are dedicated to local or national resources. If you are local to the St. Augustine or Northeast Florida area, you may find some of these local resources helpful. However, if you are outside of this area, We do have national resources located here as well. So you can locate them in the workbook, as well as I will pause on these for a moment so that you can pause the video and take a look at them. Lastly, this is a sheet that you can print out to keep near you at all times. This includes a readily available support network that you can list out their names, relationship, and phone number, as well as your healthcare team. It's important to have this information when you need it at a moment's notice. So, like I said, I encourage you to print this out or write this down, hang it on your fridge, have it at your desk, just something that you can have when you need it. Congratulations on completing this program. I hope that you've gained practical strategies that can support your emotional wellness throughout your breast cancer journey and beyond. Remember that healing isn't always linear. Some days will be easier than others, and that's okay. Continue using your workbook whenever you need it. Revisit breathing exercises, mindfulness techniques, journaling prompts, and planning tools as often as you'd like. Most importantly, remember that you are not alone. Lean on your healthcare team, friends, family, and support groups when you need them. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I wish you continued healing, hope, and many meaningful moments ahead.